Elf hit 2003 like a Christmas movie nobody knew what to do with. Too goofy to be trusted, too heartfelt to be ignored. In a season of predictable holiday comfort, it was chaos in yellow tights. But behind the Christmas cheer, there were stories the audience never caught. Ralphie from A Christmas Story hiding in the North Pole workshop. A hockey scene so unhinged it got wiped from the movie. And a sequel offer so huge that even Will Ferrell walked away from it. These are 15 weird facts about Elf, where one misfit reshaped Christmas forever. Number 1. Farley's lost elf that never lived. Before Buddy sang a single Christmas song, before he marched through New York saying hello to every stranger he saw, Elf belonged to somebody else entirely. In 1993, writer David Berenbaum finished the first draft, a version built around Chris Farley's big, messy, lovable energy, a PG-13 Buddy, a sharper script, a story with more bite than sparkle. Farley would have crushed it, but the tone, it wasn't magic yet. And when Farley's life took its tragic turn, the project slipped into limbo. The writer waited out the studio option, carried the script across town, and handed it to New Line, a studio still deciding who it wanted to be. Executive John Berg pushed hard, insisting there was something special buried in this weird holiday fable. His producer agreed, and then delivered the pitch that changed everything. What about Will Ferrell? Will wasn't a movie star. He wasn't proven. He wasn't a safe choice. But New Line rolled the dice anyway, on a $30 million Christmas movie starring a man in an elf suit. That gamble didn't just pay off. It rewrote what a Christmas classic could be. Number 2. Favreau's rewrite that found the magic. When Jon Favreau first opened the Elf script, he didn't see magic. He saw a PG-13 comedy with sharper edges, a Buddy who felt more cynical than sweet, and a North Pole that didn't feel like anyone's childhood. It was funny, but not timeless. Not the kind of Christmas story parents would share with their kids 20 years later. So Favreau tore the script apart and rebuilt it from the ground up. He soaked himself in Rudolph's Santa Claus is Coming to Town and every Rankin Bass special he grew up watching. He wanted the North Pole to feel handmade. Bright colors, soft shadows, wooden toys, snow that looked like cotton batting. The kind of world where innocence wasn't a weakness. It was the whole point. That shift changed everything. Buddy stopped being a sarcastic adult in an elf suit. He became a wide-eyed child in a man's body, someone whose purity disarmed every cynical New Yorker he met. The jokes didn't disappear. They just softened, warming the film from the inside out. Favreau didn't just rewrite a script. He rewrote the film's soul, turning Elf into the closest thing modern cinema has to a living Christmas memory. Number 3. How Elf launched Favreau's rise. Before Jon Favreau was Happy Hogan, the deadpan bodyguard who babysits Tony Stark, he was a rising filmmaker trying to prove he belonged behind the camera. When Elf landed on his desk, he saw an opportunity most studios overlooked, a simple Christmas comedy that could become something bigger, warmer, and lasting. Favreau was still early in his career, coming off Made and just starting to find his voice as a director. But on Elf, he treated every choice like it mattered. He shaped the film's rhythm, crafted its emotional beats, and built the story around sincerity instead of sarcasm. And in the middle of production, he even stepped on camera to play the pediatrician, the calm, amused doctor who confirms Buddy isn't actually an elf. What no one knew was that this gentle Christmas movie would launch Favreau into Hollywood's next era. 5 years later, the same filmmaker who guided Buddy through Manhattan would guide Tony Stark through the birth of the MCU. He reinvented blockbuster storytelling and became one of the most influential directors of his generation. Elf wasn't just another credit. It was Jon Favreau's quiet first step toward changing modern Hollywood. Number 4. Voices that secretly shaped the pole. Favreau didn't stop at directing. He became the hidden heartbeat of the North Pole. He voiced the tiny puffin who nervously urges Buddy to leave the North Pole. He voiced the narwhal who waves,
"Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad."
Thanks, Mr. Narwhal.
He even voiced the furious raccoon that launches itself at Buddy in Central Park, a role he recorded while laughing so hard the sound team begged him to redo lines. Favreau treated the North Pole like a living Rankin Bass playground, filling it with characters who felt handmade and honest. You don't see him, but he's everywhere, stitching warmth into the world one creature at a time. And that's the secret magic of Elf. Even behind the mic, Favreau directed with joy. Number 5. Duet that rewrote Jovi forever. Zooey Deschanel wasn't supposed to be an elf at all. She joined the cast at the last minute, stepping into a role written for someone else. Then Jon Favreau heard her sing, soft, effortless, almost old-fashioned, and everything changed. He rewrote Jovi from the ground up. Suddenly, she wasn't just Buddy's crush. She was a shy department store worker hiding a voice she didn't want anyone to hear. The shower duet didn't exist in the script. Favreau built the entire moment around Deschanel's tone, intimate, gentle, and perfect for a movie rediscovering its innocence. What started as as a casting scramble, became one of the most iconic scenes in modern Christmas movies. A song Buddy wasn't supposed to hear became the moment the whole world fell for Jovi. Number 6. Ralphie's cameo hiding in plain view. Most people watch Elf every year without realizing a Christmas legend is standing right next to Buddy at the North Pole. The head elf who gently tells Buddy he's not a cotton-headed ninny-muggins.
No, buddy, you're not a cotton-headed ninny-muggins.
Is Peter Billingsley, Ralphie himself from A Christmas Story. 20 years and a pair of elf glasses later, he slipped into the role so quietly that even lifelong fans miss him. Favreau cast Billingsley partly as an inside joke and partly as a love letter, one Christmas classic passing the torch to another, and Billingsley embraced it, trading the Red Ryder BB gun for a clipboard, a workshop, and the job of managing the most enthusiastic elf ever born. It's one of the film's smartest hidden touches, the kid who defined Christmas movies, helping launch the next generation without anyone noticing. A cameo so subtle, it only works because Ralphie grew up right in front of us. Number 7. Sugar binge that wrecked Ferrell. Buddy doesn't just love sugar, he devours it like it's a food group. But behind the scenes, every syrup-soaked bite was real. Will Ferrell actually ate the spaghetti drowned in maple syrup, the candy-stacked breakfasts, the soda chugging, even the cotton candy cotton balls in the doctor scene. The non-stop sugar hit him hard. Ferrell later admitted the diet gave him pounding headaches, insomnia, and waves of nausea that made entire shooting days feel like he was riding a Christmas coaster he couldn't get off. But he pushed through, refusing to fake the chaos Buddy brings to every meal. Every ridiculous bite became part of Buddy's magic. The sweetest performance on screen came with the worst sugar crash behind it. Number 8. Buddy unleashed on real NYC streets. On the final day of shooting, Jon Favreau did something only a brave director or a mischievous elf would try. He stripped the entire crew down to just 3 people, himself, a cameraman, and Will Ferrell dressed head to toe as Buddy. No extras, no staged crowds, no permits, just a 6'3" elf turned loose in the real streets of Manhattan. Ferrell wandered through New York exactly the way Buddy would, leapfrogging across crosswalks, waving at taxis, hugging strangers who didn't know a movie was filming, grabbing flyers like they were magical quests, even getting his shoes shined while chatting with baffled pedestrians. Every smile, every confused stare, every accidental double take was 100% real. Those shots in the final montage, the ones that feel impossibly joyful and unrehearsed, aren't acting. They're New Yorkers reacting to a very enthusiastic elf who genuinely believed the city was his Christmas playground. And that's why the sequence works. It's Buddy stepping into our world, and the world stepping right back. Number 9. Ferrell gag that broke James Caan. James Caan was hired for one reason. Jon Favreau needed someone who wouldn't crack. He wanted a hard-edged, old-school actor who could stand beside Will Ferrell's explosive Christmas energy without flinching. And for most of the shoot, Caan held firm, stone-faced, unshakable, the perfect counterweight to Buddy's sugar-powered chaos. Then came the blood test scene. Ferrell held out his hand, waiting for the finger prick, and when the tiniest needle touched his skin, he unleashed that high-pitched Ferrell scream. It wasn't in the script. It wasn't rehearsed. It was pure Ferrell. Sudden, ridiculous, louder than anyone expected. For a split second, Caan lost the battle. Watch closely and you'll see him turn away from the camera, shoulders shaking, hiding the grin he couldn't hold back. In a movie built on Buddy's unstoppable cheer, this was the one moment when even the toughest guy in the room had no defense. Because even James Caan couldn't stay serious when Christmas chaos hit full volume. Number 10. North Pole, built by human hands. Jon Favreau didn't want Elf to feel modern. He wanted it to feel remembered, like the stop-motion specials that aired once a year and lived forever in childhood memory. So instead of filling the North Pole with computers, he stripped CGI from the production almost completely. Every snowdrift, every creature, every tiny elf workshop was built by hand. Forced perspective made Buddy tower over the elves. Miniature sets replaced digital worlds. Matte paintings stood in for sweeping skylines. Even the narwhal, puffin, and Arctic creatures were animated frame by frame to echo the Rankin Bass look Favreau worshipped as a kid. And here's the part most people miss. Favreau refused to hide the seams. If the edges between two differently sized sets didn't line up perfectly, he left them. He said those imperfections made the film warmer, like something crafted, not manufactured. That choice is why Elf still feels timeless. It's not polished by technology, it's shaped by human hands, and you can feel that magic in every frame. Number 11. Mailroom confession that almost almost died. The mailroom scene was supposed to be simple. Buddy sees his co-worker pour wine into a cup, thinks it's syrup, and pours himself a glass. Both of them get drunk, bonding over what Buddy believes is just another sweet treat. But actor Mark Atchison threw in one improvised line that stopped the set cold. Out of nowhere, he sighed.
I'm 26 years old, I got nothing to show.
The crew cracked up. Will Ferrell leaned in with that wide-eyed Buddy sympathy that only he could deliver. And Jon Favreau immediately knew the moment was gold. Human, absurd, and perfectly in Buddy's emotional language. But when producers screened the cut, they hated it. No one will believe he's 26, they argued, demanding the entire exchange be removed. Favreau pushed back hard. The lie was the joke. The sadness, the timing, the sincerity, that's what made the moment sing. He fought for it. He kept it. And that tiny, bizarre confession became one of Elf's most quoted lines. Proof that sometimes the funniest truth is the one that's obviously not true at all. Number 12. Santa Brawl filmed in one wild take. When Buddy charges the fake gimbal Santa, it looks chaotic. Decorations exploding, toys flying, 5 handcrafted miniature skyscrapers, built like Lego sculptures and glued together just enough to stand. The art team designed the whole setup to collapse only once. The towers were fragile, and every piece was wired to fall apart the second the fight began. Will Ferrell and Artie Lang had exactly one chance to nail the timing. No rehearsed wreckage, no stunt doubles rearranging the aftermath. Every crash, every tumble was happening for real while the cameras chased them through the carnage. That's why the fight feels wild and almost uncontrolled, because it was. 2 actors, 1 improvised brawl, and a set built to die on cue. The scene became a classic, not because it was perfect, but because it was the most joyful disaster ever caught in a single take. Number 13. Elf hockey mayhem you never saw. Long before Buddy raced through revolving doors or devoured syrup-covered spaghetti, he had another moment of pure, chaotic innocence. A full-on elf hockey sequence filmed on a frozen North Pole pond. The scene began sweetly enough. Tiny elves skating circles around Buddy, cheering him on as he wobbled across the ice like a giraffe on roller skates. But the second Buddy tried to join the fun, everything fell apart. His enthusiasm became a wrecking ball. He slid into the elves like bowling pins, destroying everyone, and seemingly destroying the entire rink, ending up sending both the hockey puck and the goalie flying into the snow. Ferrell threw himself into the slapstick with so much gusto the crew could barely hold their laughter. It was big, it was expensive, it was hilarious, and in the edit bay, it died. Favreau cut the entire sequence for pacing, leaving only traces of the snowy chaos fans never got to see. Some scenes earn a place in a movie. This one earned a place in legend, the greatest Buddy meltdown audiences never witnessed. Number 14. Christmas hit that refused to fade. Elf didn't arrive with blockbuster expectations. A $33 million Christmas comedy starring an SNL alum in yellow tights wasn't supposed to dominate a season ruled by epics and sequels. But when Buddy hit theaters in November 2003, something rare happened. Families kept coming back. Weekend after weekend, theater after theater. Word of mouth turned a modest release into a phenomenon. By the end of its run, Elf had earned over $220 million worldwide, making it one of the highest-grossing holiday comedies in history. And its second life was even bigger. Every December, reruns spike, streaming numbers soar, and DVD sales climb as if the movie were brand new again. Most Christmas movies fade after a few seasons. Elf didn't fade. It climbed, year after year, until Buddy the Elf stopped being just a character and became a holiday tradition that won't let go. And if that tradition still means something to you, you can bring it home for yourself. Just check the links below for the Blu-ray, DVD, or 4K Ultra HD. Thanks for the support. It really means a lot. Now, let's slide right back into Buddy's world. Number 15. Sequel offer Ferrell walked away from. The studio wanted a sequel, the audience wanted a sequel, and Will Ferrell was offered a paycheck big enough to make headlines. $29 million to bring Buddy back. But Ferrell said no before the ink even dried. He believed a middle-aged Buddy squeezing into those green tights would feel forced, maybe even sad. And if the heart wasn't real, the joke wouldn't be either. Protecting Elf meant letting it stand alone. A single, earnest story about innocence in a cynical world. Sometimes the bravest move isn't doing more. It's knowing when one perfect movie is enough. Bonus fact. When Elf leaped from the screen to Broadway in 2010, nobody expected Buddy to fill a theater the way he'd filled the North Pole, but he did. The musical exploded out of the gate, pulling in more than $1.4 million in a single week, a new record for the Al Hirschfeld Theater, and a holiday miracle that stunned even seasoned producers. The show reimagined Buddy with giant dance numbers, glitter-wrapped sets, and a score built to feel like pure Christmas morning. Critics called it sugar-sprinkled joy, and audiences treated it like a yearly pilgrimage. A revival returned in 2012. National tours followed. Schools and regional theaters still perform it every December. But he didn't just conquer movies. He took over the stage and turned one Christmas comedy into a living tradition. Elf didn't become a classic because of effects or spectacle. It became a classic because it remembered something simple, something we forget far too easily. That wonder still works, that joy still matters, and that sometimes the world needs a tall, awkward elf to remind us how good people can be. Will Ferrell brought the heart. Jon Favreau shaped the magic. But the reason Elf lives on is because families kept returning, year after year, laughing at the same moments, feeling the same warmth, passing the movie down like a tradition that refuses to fade. If this story still lifts you, even a little, tell us your favorite moment in the comments below. The snowball fight, the spaghetti, the revolving door, whatever memory brings you back. Because the best Christmas stories don't just entertain us, they stay with us long after the lights come down.